In 2019, YouTube was caught violating the Child Online Privacy Protection Act, or COPPA. Since settling, YouTube has enacted new policies that are meant to serve as a smokescreen so they can dodge responsibility and scapegoat creators. As such, for my own protection, it is my obligation to advise you that this video is not aimed at children. My target audience is not children. Parental discretion is advised. Hey guys, how's everyone doing? This is Sir Jedi Sentinel, and welcome back to Sentinel Reviews. It's time to begin. I didn't want it to be this soon, but here we are. We're going to start looking at Jodie Whittaker's final home stretch as the Doctor, starting with Series 13, also called Flux, beginning with Chapter 1, The Halloween Apocalypse. Now, I will be talking about spoilers. I do these unscripted, so I always put a blanket spoiler warning in place. Just in case. And, well, with so much going on, where to talk about? Okay, well, I guess I'll start in the broad strokes. If you followed my reviews for some time, I have always said that, not of the entire show, but strictly speaking of New Who, the Chibnall era has been the best era of the show. And if the Halloween Apocalypse is any indication, that's not going to change. I loved this episode. This was such a great start to this series. Now, I feel like a lot of it I can't talk about because, along with the stuff going on in this episode, there's a lot going on that's going to set up the greater arc of Flux. So, just because we don't know where it's going yet, we can't really talk about it yet. The stuff with that aristocrat Williamson in Liverpool in the 1800s, or that woman Claire that the Doctor and Yaz meet, or the woman Dan was going to take out on a date, Diane. All of that is introduced here, but like I said, it's not the main part of the episode. It's just set up for the larger arc at hand. So, and we don't know where it's going to go yet. So I will try to talk about the stuff that just happened in that episode. Before I get into it, though, I will say this episode is really well balanced. Nothing feels rushed or out of place. It doesn't feel too crowded or anything. There is a really nice balance between the plot of the episode itself as well as the setting up of the larger arc at hand. With that being said, I love the cold open. With the Doctor and Yaz already in a predicament, I loved it. Again, the visuals are just stellar. This is the best Doctor Who has ever looked. And also, this era is not afraid of color, which, just like I said, after a while, it felt like that started to happen with the previous eras, especially the Capaldi era, where, and I've said this before, with like the Capaldi era like to use muted colors, or it felt like it like to put a blue filter or a gray filter over everything. The way a lot of young adult media was doing things at the time. This era is not afraid of color, and it fully embraces going all out with it, and it looks spectacular. That being said, and the CG is really good. Of course, it's a TV budget, so it's not cinema quality, but it's better than it's looked in the past. It's still TV budget, and it does make me wonder, though, on the CG thing, because we've seen Doctor Who try to do CG in the past and gotten some really questionable things, like the Lazarus Monster, or the Slitheen jumping around and trying to pounce at people in World War III specifically. That's when that chase happened. So it makes me wonder, the CG looking so well, if just the technology's gotten cheaper. Like I said, because this is still a TV budget, this is still the BBC budget, but it looks so amazing. It makes, like I said, has the technology just gotten cheaper to use? And also like Classic Who, there's a charm. Wow, I feel like that was a tangent, and when I came back, I was coming back to something I didn't talk about. So I love the cold open. So just to catch back up, I love the cold open. The Doctor and Yaz already in a predicament. As far as the CG and the effects go, it is the weakest part of the episode, but like Classic Who, there is a charm to it. And that's one thing I can say about a lot of this episode. About a lot about the Chibnall era. Like the previous eras, the Davies and the Moffat era, always tried to play Doctor Who really straight. Even with Classic Who, it felt there was humor, don't get me wrong, but it felt like it tried to sweep the goofier parts under the rug, and when it did try to bring them back, it felt like they always tried to play it so straight. The Chibnall era is not afraid to embrace the goofier parts of Classic Who, and we see that with this cold open, with kind of the sketchier effects, which are very charming, and we even see it with. Hang on just a minute, I kind of forgot his name. I have my notes in front of me. Carvanista of the Lupari. Like, that is such a goofy looking costume. But again, like Classic Who, there's a lot of charm to it. It's really good. And Carvanista himself is just a really fun character. That's another thing about this episode. The humor is really, really good. Like, and that's kind of been my thing with the Chibnall era. The humor has been the weakest part. Like, I think of like the Ghost Monument. Ryan saying he can take down the drones, the security drones, because he played Call of Duty. Or the entire Logan scene in Spyfall. Really the weakest part of the Chibnall era has been its humor. And here the humor is just spectacular. The jokes landed all really well. I'm trying not to get into the bigger spoilers too, because this episode did just come out, and again, in my new countermeasures review, I said I don't want my reviews to be what they have been. I don't just want them to be summaries of the episode. As for performances, Jodie Whittaker is once again phenomenal. She just knocks it out of the park, and I think part of that is the writing, because Chibnall just gets Doctor Who. Like, I got into my rant about me not being excited Davies is coming back, but it really shows, Davies portrayed the Doctor as a deity. Chibnall portrays the Doctor as an adventurer. She likes being and when those more serious moments happen, we see how they affect her. Like, what was the line? I wrote it down here too. I can feel the universe breaking. And, the look on her face and the expression in her eyes, you really feel the weight of that line. Whittaker balances the Doctor's humor, the Doctor's free nature, the Doctor's... Is ennui the right word? I don't feel like it's the right word. Darker, more dramatic nature. She balances them all really well. Yaz, thus far, we'll have to see where she's going. This is the most I've ever liked Yaz. Overall, I feel like she's been kind of the weak link. I kind of disliked Ryan more until I caught what his arc was, but she's been kind of the weak link. This is the most I've liked her since Can You Hear Me? And thankfully, the stuff that happened in Revolution of the Daleks, it feels like it's not carrying over, thankfully, because if you missed that review, in Revolution of the Daleks, I said... Yaz, I pointed out that Yaz is kind of starting to obsess over the Doctor in her absence. And she has that scene with Jack talking about what's going to happen when her and the Doctor part ways. She's never going to be the same again. Yaz was starting to show some of the worst traits of Rose and Clara. And I'm really glad that, at least right now, it looks like Chibnall is backing away from there. Meanwhile, across this plot, the Doctor is starting to keep secrets from Yaz, which is really starting to frustrate her. And, that frustration in and of itself, it kind of gives Yaz something to latch onto. It's, like I said, outside of Can You Hear Me, it's the strongest her character has ever been. Speaking of, we also get our introduction to the new companion, Dan Lewis. And... it's kind of amazing how fast Dan won me over. I loved his introduction with the museum, and then I loved the scene at the food bank. Like, it's just... I've said this before. I'm an optimist. I try to see the best in everything. So just to see Dan, who is, more than anything else, just a good person. Like, I just like good people, and that's what Dan is. He's just a good person. It's why Jodie Whittaker is my second favorite Doctor, you know? The Doctor's always been kind of had a hopeful outlook on life, but the 13th Doctor is the first one I would call an optimist. And yeah, just Yaz and Dan, as she's rescuing him, almost click almost immediately, which is good to see. Like I said, is there anything else to talk about? Like I said, and also, ooh, because this is something a lot of people were kind of criticizing, like, um, not in this episode, mind you, but this is a thing a lot of people were criticizing about the Chibnall era, the arc of the Timeless Child. A lot of the hints we get here, like I said, we're seeing Chibnall's plan. Like it wasn't just something he did. It wasn't just, oh hey, that 40-year-old plot line that's existed in the background of the show, yeah, I'm bringing it to the forefront. Like, it's obviously not over. There's more to it. Like, the reason the Doctor is hunting down Carvanista is because he is a member of the Division. And if you remember, the Division was the organization that was hunting down the fugitive Doctor in Fugitive of the Jadoon. Which means, most likely, very, very hopefully, Joe Martin is going to come back at some point in the series too. Especially because we are also introduced to Swarm, who it seems to be setting up is going to be the main antagonist of Flux. The Doctor has no memory of his introduction is also really well done. I think of all the introductions, because Dan's is really good, Swarm's is really good. I think the weakest is Vinder's. Like, we knew from, was it Comic-Con? There was going to be another major character named Vinder, and his introduction was kind of weak. It was good, it's just one of the weaker points of this episode. And I don't know if it was fan speculation or if it was the promotional material itself, but it kind of felt like Vinder was going to be a major part of the TARDIS team. Again, like I said, I don't know if that's the promotional material or just fan speculation, but like, we only get his introduction and he hasn't met up with the Dr. Yaz and Dan yet. So, we'll see where that goes. Like I said, that again ties into the greater arc of Flux, whatever it may be. But, so I can't really talk about it here. There is one thing I'll say. There was also fan speculation that Swarm may be New Who's version of the Decaying Master, originally played by Peter Pratt and Jeffrey Beavers. And pretty quickly, the episode quashes that, thankfully. Swarm is his own entity. He even has a sister. And going into what I was trying to say about the fugitive Doctor, he mentions that he is an enemy of the Doctor's, but the Doctor has no memory of him, which more likely means he is an enemy of the Timeless Child. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. Overall, like I said, the Halloween Apocalypse is just a great start to this. I'm just gonna call it a mini-series because it's yeah. Obviously, there's a lot we can't really talk about because we don't know where it's going, but the performances are all great. Dan's introduction is really good. The mystery it sets up is very intriguing, and I can't wait for more. I think I'm going to give the Halloween Apocalypse a 9 out of 10. But those are just my thoughts. Have you heard the Halloween Sorry, I've been doing a lot of Big Finish lately. Have you seen the Halloween Apocalypse yet? If so, start a conversation in the comments below. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Click the bell next to subscribe to get notifications when I upload. And in the description box below, you'll find the link to my Twitter where you can follow me and get updates on the channel. This is Sir Jedi Sentinel, and I'll see you guys next time.